KORK North Bay, your source for news and happenings throughout the North Bay.
Hello and thanks for watching KORK North Bay TV. Coming up is our weekly wrap covering all the news stories and happenings that took place this past week throughout the greater San Francisco North Bay. This is a story that won't come as any surprise to people living in the North Bay, and that is the fire that's burning up north off of Highway 1 near Woodside because of all the smoke that's blanketed the areas south of it. The fire started on Thursday, and as you can see by the video from the NOAA weather satellite, the wind carried that smoke south into several valleys, cities, and communities, blanketing the sky with a gray hue that looked a lot like thick fog rolling in from the coast, except this fog smells like a campfire. The fire is burning right off of Highway 1 just north of Woodside. If you're not familiar with the rural coastal area up that way, if you think of where the town of Healdsburg is located, just draw a line directly west from there over to the coast, and that's about where Woodside is located. The fire is burning lots of old underbrush, which is pretty thick in some areas, so it's a bit difficult for the firefighters to get it put out because the water and retardant has to get down into that thick underbrush, so it's more than just your typical fire burning. Ground units have been working on it nonstop, and air resources as well, including dropping water and retardant. Evacuation orders in the immediate area and south of the fire were called on Thursday, and fire crews from multiple agencies helped some people evacuate. Highway 1 in that area has been closed to traffic. According to CAL FIRE, right now the fire is just over 100 acres in size and about 30% contained as they continue working on getting it under control. Smoke from the fire may get thicker in some areas and may disperse in other areas depending on wind conditions. So if you see or smell smoke, it's most likely from this fire. Right now, the cause of the fire is under investigation. Let's hope they can get this thing out and fully contained soon. As always, our first responders are doing a great job. On Monday at about 2 o'clock in the afternoon in the town of Guerneville, a man who was enjoying the warm weather and cool water that day at the popular Johnson's Beach along the Russian River somehow became unconscious and ended up in the water and then getting swept over the small dam that's just south of the beachfront area. Bystanders saw his body in the water and pulled him out, then began giving him CPR. Sonoma County deputies arrived on scene within about a minute or so and took over CPR until medics from the Sonoma County Fire District could arrive, who then took over and then transported the man to the hospital. Due to the man's condition from passing out in the water, he basically drowned. It wasn't looking too good for him, but on Tuesday, the sheriff's office received a call from the hospital with an update, and thankfully, it was good news. The man made it and is expected to survive. It's said that a big factor in the man's survival was the immediate CPR given to him by citizens who pulled him out of the water, and then the deputies taking over until medics arrived, and then them taking over. It was a chain of events that literally saved this man's life. His identity hasn't been released yet, but whoever it is, we're sure happy for him and his family. This is a great reminder that if you're physically able to perform CPR, it's a great idea to get trained because in situations like this, it can definitely save a life. And it might not even be a stranger. It could be a friend, your child, or a family member. So if you've even thought about getting trained, or maybe even haven't, please consider taking a class. Just call your local fire station because oftentimes they do classes throughout the year. On Wednesday in Petaluma at the town's airport, a little mishap happened in the early evening when a gyrocopter was taking off and ended up crashing off the side of the runway. This incident happened right at takeoff and not after the aircraft was already up in altitude, so thankfully the pilot only sustained minor injuries. You've probably seen these contraptions once or twice. I live in Sonoma Valley and have seen one fly over every now and then. They have a distinct engine sound like a very large angry bee. They say these things are safe, but you wouldn't get me on one. If it ain't made by Boeing, Airbus, or McDonnell Douglas, I'm not getting on it. So you can see how these things take off and fly. Here's some footage of one taking off. The top rotor spins mainly by air movement as the craft is driven forward by the engine's rear propeller, so they aren't like a helicopter and they can't hover like one either. That top rotor acts like a wing, but instead of stationary wings like an airplane has, or a power-driven rotor like a helicopter has, the top rotor on these things spin freely on their own, powered by the oncoming air. There's no official report on why the aircraft crashed, but the unofficial report is that it was taking off in a crosswind and veered off the runway and tipped over. But again, that's an unofficial report right now. The FAA will handle the investigation and will issue the official report when they're done. We're just glad the pilot was okay. In Santa Rosa on Thursday at about 10 o'clock in the morning, a driver in a Ford F-150 pickup truck was traveling along Reebley Road, which is located in the rural northeastern side of town that connects Rincon Valley to the Mark West Springs area. Unfortunately, that driver careened off the road and went down a steep embankment, which proved to be fatal for him. The driver was only identified as a man who was trapped inside the truck and took first responders to get him out. There's no word yet on what caused him to go off the road, whether it was related to speed, driving under the influence, or possibly a medical emergency. Detectives will find that out in their investigation. No other people or vehicles were involved in this incident. Our condolences go out to the man's family. In Nevada on Thursday at about 9 o'clock in the morning, a 44-year-old woman driving a Jeep Cherokee heading southbound on Highway 101 changed lanes and struck a vehicle, which caused her to lose control and hit another vehicle before she went off the road on the East Highway 37 on-ramp and crashed into a power pole. The impact caused a fire in her vehicle and dropped quite a number of power lines onto the ground, which also started spitting and sparking, which not only set off fires, but also left about 6,000 people around the Black Point area and the surrounding Novato area to be without power, including businesses and a few nearby traffic signals. First responders arrived and closed off the highway in both lanes, plus the on-ramps and the off-ramps to Highway 37, while firefighters tended to the woman, her vehicle, and the grass fires. PG&E crews showed up to tend to the downed power lines, while tow trucks tended to the damaged vehicles and medics tended to the woman. Because of those energized power lines, drivers who were stopped on the highway near the scene were told to stay inside their cars. They didn't want any crash gawkers to step out on one of the live power lines and get barbecued on the spot. The woman driving the Jeep Cherokee sustained major injuries and was transported to the hospital for treatment. Thankfully, no other injuries were reported. This crash caused quite a chain reaction and a pretty big mess for firefighters and PG&E crews to clean up. But just before 11 o'clock that morning, all of the lanes on the highway and both the on-ramps and the off-ramps to Highway 37 were reopened. In the Lake County town of Lucerne, a tragedy happened when a 92-year-old man was crossing Highway 20 on his electric scooter and was hit by a driver that unfortunately led up to the man's death. This incident took place on Tuesday at about 3:40 in the afternoon, where First Avenue crosses Highway 20 right in front of Alpine Park. This intersection does have a marked crosswalk, as well as flashing lights that can be activated manually when someone wants to cross. There was no word, though, on whether the man activated these lights or not before he crossed, but Caltrans did check them and said that they were indeed working. As the man was in the crosswalk, approaching him at about 30 miles an hour was a 77-year-old woman identified as Renee Roebuck, a resident of Lucerne, driving her Ford Taurus that collided with the man. According to the CHP, Ms. Roebuck was not under the influence and wasn't speeding. In fact, the posted speed limit through that area is 35 miles an hour, but her speed was said to be at about 30 miles an hour. She did remain at the scene and was fully cooperative with police. The 92-year-old man was transported to Santa Rosa Memorial Hospital due to it being the nearest full trauma center, but at midnight that night, he was pronounced deceased. We tried contacting authorities to obtain the man's identity, but were unsuccessful. Our condolences go out to the man's family. On Wednesday, a terrible head-on crash up in Lake County between a pickup truck and an SUV proved to be fatal for both drivers. This tragic incident took place at about 12:30 in the afternoon, just south of Lower Lake on Highway 29 and B Street. One driver, identified as 35-year-old Tim Marks II, a resident of Hidden Valley Lake, and 79-year-old Vincent Black, a resident of Middletown, were traveling towards each other on Highway 29 when 35-year-old Marks in his 2015 Ford Explorer began swerving in the lane, then crossed over the double yellow line and crashed head-on in a Black's 95 Dodge Ram truck. The impact was fatal for both drivers. Inside a Black's Dodge truck was Black's wife, identified as 75-year-old Elizabeth Black, who sustained major injuries and was airlifted by a medical chopper to Santa Rosa Memorial Hospital for treatment. A CHP official did say that they found what was described as an illicit substance in Marx's Explorer and that they believe he was under the influence when he crashed, but an investigation and toxicology report hasn't made that official yet. This is such a sad story, and we feel sorry for Mrs. Black, who lost her husband in this tragedy. Our condolences go out to her and her family. This broadcast is sponsored by Mike Larbury Automotive. 5-star ratings for all of your domestic and import automotive repair needs, located on Highway 12 in Sonoma. Mention you saw them here on KORK TV to receive a special discount. And also by Sonoma Paint Center, your source for all of your home and automotive paint and supply needs.
Transform your home or business with Sonoma Paint Center. As your local Benjamin Moore retailer, we've got everything you need to paint inside and out, plus top quality stains. Step inside our Santa Rosa location or visit us in Sonoma, Sebastopol, and now our newest location in Napa. From vibrant colors to durable finishes and required supplies, we'll help you bring your vision to life. Sonoma Paint Center, serving you in Santa Rosa, Sonoma, Sebastopol, and now Napa. Sonoma Paint Center, color your world.
Well, that's it for our weekly wrap. Thanks for tuning in. We really appreciate it. We'll see you again on Monday for our weekend wrap. Remember, you can watch us on our website at KORKTV.com, or you can also watch us on Roku, Amazon Fire TV, or on our new YouTube channel. In any of those platforms, just search for KORK North Bay TV and add our channel to your favorites. We'd sure appreciate it. We'd like to wish everyone a safe, healthy, and happy weekend. Thanks for watching.